obviously for this moment to celebrate his life. He liked his music. He was very much into his music, from going down in Bristol, going to blues and that sort of thing. So he was well known around Bristol, you know what I mean, that sort of scene. So he would sneak out at night time, to go out at night time, and obviously tell me to keep the door open so that he could get in, because sometimes I would lock the door so he couldn't, obviously, because he would obviously, you know what I mean, to keep it safe. So he would sneak out, then obviously sometimes I would fall asleep in bed, and obviously there was a few occasions obviously I would see him down at Carnival, because he liked his sound systems, he liked Barber, City Rockers, Chivaugntay. So he'd always be out in front of the speaker, so in the morning or whatever it is, dancing, but I mean that sort of thing. So he was well into the music, he loved his music, so that was the main thing for him. Even obviously when he was in the house, he was playing music all the time. Dennis, you know what I mean, Dennis Brown, that sort of thing. So yeah, he's obviously a nice person. Everyone got on with him. I don't think didn't really have a bad word or any sort of running with anyone. He was always obviously good natured, just wanted to help people, always listen to people, would have time to chat to people, you know what I mean, find out what's going on. So easy going person, just love life. That's it really, that's what I'd say. Yeah.
My uncle was a character. He loved to laugh, he loved to tell jokes, he'd wind you up. He loved his Martel brandy, he loved Man United. This is the only day, by the way, I'll be wearing Man United. He was a special guy, man. Like, when he was here, he took me out on my first roller skating adventure. He was like, "You want to skate? Come." So he took me out skating, and while I was skating, you see a Rottweiler off the leash, and he says, "Nephew, I love you, but I'm gone." And he left me, man. Left me on the skates. I had to come running back to my mom's at the door. She was cussing him, telling him to come back out. He was just, we go, I think it was 1998 when we went there to America to see him in Brooklyn. I've seen him a couple of times before then. But in 98, he came round, we were all having Thanksgiving dinner. He came through and he said, "Y'all know what y'all celebrating?" And he just started to go in about, you know, the Indians and what happened back in the day, and they was killing off all the Indians to the point where nobody wanted to eat their food anymore, and everyone was in a big debate. That was him, and he would just sit there, watch everyone debate, and he'd just smile, go tough, just, he was a character. The last time I saw him was in, I think it was 2002. He took me, Jordan, one of my good friends, Daniel, on a train journey to Manhattan to buy clothes and trainers and stuff. And to be honest, I never had a deep conversation with him until that day. And that day he was telling me a lot of things that have gone on in our family. You know, it's not really a time that I really want to say this, but he didn't really get the help he needed when he was in America. And he got very emotional on the train. I fell out with Ronald as well, because I tried to get him to come back. I think all of us tried. My mum tried, Calvin tried, I tried a lot. And I had quite a lot of money at a certain time, and I said to him, "Ronald, I'm just gonna buy the ticket, yeah, so you can come back." And I think I kind of shocked him, and then he phoned me the next day and he was like, "Nephew, don't do that." I think Ronald loved America. He had a broad, strong Brooklyn accent. He was Brooklyn to his core. You would never believe he was born over here, to be honest. You'd be on the phone with him and you couldn't understand one word he was saying. He was so strong in his American accent. Ronald was he loved his family. He loved my mom. He loved Calvin. He loved his mom. He loved his nephews. He loved his nieces. He loved my kids. The last time I spoke to Ronald was in the summer. I was at my nan's funeral, my dad's mum, and we went to my nan's house to see progress on the house. And then my mum called him in the car, and this was like, we kind of fell out, and then it was like we're having a conversation, like Calvin was just saying, you didn't hold no grudges. We spoke, he said a lot of things. I'm not going to repeat what he said, but Ronald let me know that he's family first before everything. Deeply family first before everything. One of the realest ones. He was a real one. Like, just special, man. Just a laugh joke. He was disruptive. He was a rebel, a risk taker, just a beautiful person. That's all I really got to say.
Good morning, everyone. Basically, when I was young, when obviously Ronald was around, but obviously, like, a memory that I have when we went to America, he was like, nephew, come, we're gonna go shopping, what you want? And I'm like, yeah, I don't know. And he's like, you like that sweatsuit? Get that sweatsuit, get it, I'll buy that for you. And I'm like, yeah. He's like, yeah. And I remember being in his van, and he was just like taking me places, and obviously being that, like, he left England when I was young, like how he was with me, he was like, you knew me my whole life, and I'll never forget that. Like, he was always positive. Like, all I remember is that day, and I just remember being happy that day. Like, I spent time with him, like, he was going on the roads, he was going this place, that place, doing his little errands, and I was just like, you know, just looking at him like, wow, this guy is my uncle. But yeah, I just obviously lived his life on his own terms, and he did what he wanted to do. So obviously, like, I always admired that about him. And I just want to say as well, like, obviously it was very unexpected, obviously, that he passed away. And I just want, like especially like everyone, but like especially like family, like, appreciate your family while you have them. You know what I'm saying? Life's too short. Whatever airs and grievances you got with your family, like, sort it out, because you don't know, tomorrow's not promised. You know what I'm saying? And what I wish from all of this is, like, me and my friends get closer together. You know what I mean? There might not be many of us, but obviously less is more. So yeah, there's plenty of us. So yeah, that's all I want to say. Thank you.
We have a video clip from the USA, and we want to play that for you right now. Is that okay? Bless you, everyone. Let's play that now.
Tribute to Ron, co-worker for life. Ron was a good barber, best friend. He's a durable guy. Whenever time him is here, he's like, we have fun. When they walk in, he say, oh, good haircut, good haircut.
Nice haircut.
Nice haircut. Otherwise, he eat nothing but brown stew. If it's fish, chicken, pork, you name it. It has to be brown. So we call him brown stew because of that. Yeah.
Female that.
But he's a good guy.
Yeah.
Listen. Very nice guy. And he's our co-worker. And it's a tribute to him. And it's like, we all miss him. Is this Steve? Baba Steve. Every time. I'm out.
Listen, it's a sad moment. But you see, Ron is just a family to all of us. It's a family to all of us. A brother, a father figure, and guess what? Every moment of time he come to that door, if we are sad, brown stew, Ron, let we happy. You understand? And guess what? Ron love Corona. This is for Ron.
This is for Ron.
Flash you up all over the one. Flash you up. Big up.
What me now? Don't know. Run. Show the mess. Is a mess, eh? Yeah, man, I'm a general dog. Really. You know that. Hot 97 blazing. Mouth.
That is right.
Yeah. Hot 97 blazing out there now, run down there. John run. I tell you, just in our place, I mean, I tell you, see, you make me feel nice. When you talk, me, I tell you, say, Brown Stew, 100. There, you know, say, all you come here, boy, run, make me feel nice. Nah, I tell no lie. Nice, brother, me, I tell no lie. If you're sad, then money make you laugh. The last time you ran talk when you come from hospital, I write out this one. Kings County, I give you shoes, you know. See, yeah, I mean, I tell us, hey, boy, I tell us, boy, run, big up, rest in peace. All of we there have a drink. Cheers, man and man. Touch the cup. Wake up there, glass up them. Come in, Steve. Yeah, man. Yeah, man. Take it back now, man. Take it back, man. Take it back, man. Yeah, man. Yeah, man. Cheers.
Right now in the night,
Don't know. Yeah, man.
if Ron was here, oh God, we're not ready for lock.
We're not ready for that.
Fun, excitement.
Yeah, man.
You understand? Chicken.
Yeah, man.
Brown stew. Hey, yo!
Betsy that moving.
Betsy that moving.
No time.
No time. You got money?
Yeah.
Taxi?
Cabby.
Taxi?
One already.
But a cab.
Yeah, man. Play everything.
Taxi.
Yeah, man. You know, I tell you all that.
Turn the camera up on your face.
Yes, I way this, you know. With all due respect,
Yeah.
you know, pleasant good afternoon to everyone,
Yeah.
you know, that listen to us. You know, we are shooting this video from New York, straight out of Brooklyn.
Yeah.
You know, we get to meet. I met Ron for a very long time, over 20 years.
Yeah.
You know, and all I see and know about this guy, very jovial. You know, nice, easygoing, you know, let us laugh, have fun, and he just take life simple. You know, nothing worry him. You know, and when he comes and starts to work with us inside the shop, that this guy give us laughter. Always have something to tell us. We're never sad. I always get on his case.
Never a dog
Always
moment.
get on his case. You know, and tell him. You know, whenever time he went to the hospital, the only problem with this guy is very secretive.
Yeah.
You know, he don't talk much, he don't talk about his stuff, personal stuff or anything like that. But other than that, we all work with him, you know, and he work with us. He always make our day, you know, and it's very sad to know that, you know, we got the news from his sister that, you know, he has passed and so forth. And, you know, right now we are looking, you know, we always talk about him every day. Nevertheless, always, he left a very, very important thing, you know, at all times. He always has some little slang. He has Brown Stew. He said, my God, his favorite song, you know, Garnet Silk. You know,
Keep on talking.
Keep on talking. Talk if you're talking. Or whatever you say to him to get him mad.
Keep
He
on
just keep on talking.
Yeah, keep
And
on.
for that reason, we are sending out this video. You know, we cannot be there. But we are saying, sleep in peace, my brother. You're still in our heart. We love you. And all the best.
Let them keep talking. Whoa, bark if you're barking. Oh yes, let them talk, keep them talking. Hey, we're gonna keep them talking. Laugh when they're talking. Yeah, we've got a lot more coming. Talk, keep them talking. We're gonna keep them talking, laugh when they're talking, yeah. We've got a lot more coming. Who have ears to hear, let them hear. And who have eyes to see, let them see. No one in this world can stop me, 'cause I'm protected by the Almighty. Jah is with me wherever I go. Oh, I know Jah loves me so. One thing I know, and of that I'm sure, I'm gonna talk, keep them talking. 'Cause I'm protected by the Almighty. Jah is with me wherever I go. Oh, I know Jah loves me so. One thing I know, and of that I'm sure, I'm gonna talk, keep them talking. 'Cause I'm protected by the Almighty. Jah is with me wherever I go. Oh, I know Jah loves me so. One thing I know, and of that I'm sure, I'm gonna talk, keep them talking.
morning, church. This morning, I will be speaking about my brother, Ronald Lloyd Harvey Abrams. I'm not sure how he got the name. I know how he got the name Lloyd, because my dad was a cricket supporter. So I guess he wanted to have it in the family, that name. Ronald was born on the he was a third of 4 children. He was born to Hugh Lawrence and Marjorie Abrams on the 31st of May, 1964. He was a happy child, and he always smiled. I remember when we used to be punished, he'd never get punished. And he'd be smiling. And you just want to beat him up because we're all getting punished. And he's just there smiling. He had a special relationship with my mom. For some reason, she had a soft spot for him because he would always tease her. It doesn't matter what he did, he never got told off. If he did, he just smiled. And I guess that's what I remember of him. He was a smiling child. He was a happy child. And he always seemed to have a smile on his face when he was growing up. Ronald loved his family. I would do anything for them, especially his mom. When he got on the phone, it didn't matter. From the States, it didn't matter how angry she was. All you had to say was Ronald was on the phone. And immediately, everything would change. And then when he got off the phone, she'd continue being cross. Ronald attended Sefton Park Junior School. He then went on to Bishopston Secondary School and left at the age of 16. I remember the day that Ronald came to me. I was living in Birmingham. I'd moved to Birmingham by this time. And he said to me, he just turned up one day and he said, I'm going to America. And I'm like, are you crazy? Why would you want to do that? And he said, I'm going. And he'd already come to my house with a bag. And he stayed with me for a week. I think it was before he traveled. And like my son said, he did. He was, he was a really good person. I remember when he took the children out, and especially when he took Andre out, the day Andre remembered. I remembered him, and I cursed him that day. Because Ronald took him out to roller skating, and then the dog attacked them, was chasing them. And he ran into the house and put his back to the door. I'm like, where's Andre? He said, I think he's out there. I said, you left him with the dog. He said, he'd be okay. I said, he's not gonna be okay, go out there and get him. I said, I hope the dog bites you. And all he did was smile. Ronald was really a smiler. When he decided to emigrate to America in 1990, I remember taking him to the coach station. My daughter was 6 months old, and I spent days before he traveled trying to persuade him not to go. But he was 26, he had a rucksack, and that was all he traveled with, a bag and himself. And in the end I decided, you're not going to stop him from doing what he's going to do. So I just let him do what he was going to do. So I remember seeing him off on the coach at Digbus coach station, and he traveled to Heathrow and traveled to London, to the US. But I always worried about him because he was always the third of 4 children. And I don't know why I worried about him, I did all his life. And I just thought, how is he going to cope over there? But he didn't seem to care. He was going, and nothing in this world would stop him. It was like, I'm going on an adventure, and I'll be back. But he did not return. He seemed to be seduced by his life in America. He loved it there. And I remember I've got a friend called Lorraine, a very good friend. And she said to me when she met him, and I said, I'm trying to get Ronald to come home. And this was last year. And she said, Pat, you don't know your brother. She said, he's an American now. He's from New York. He's Brooklyn. And the life that he's living, he would never be able to return to England because it's slower. And I said, yeah, but I'm gonna get him here. In May of this year, I had a sudden urge to go to see him. I spoke to him every other 2 times a week, 3 times a week. Sometimes it depends on if he had anything to say. He'd always run it by me. Relationships, health, everything. And I remember him saying to me, I said to him, are you okay? And he'd say, yes, I'm okay. But in the past, what he did was he would always, when I don't hear from him for a week or 2, and I'd be worried sick, and then he'd say to me, then I'd ring him and suddenly he'd pick the phone up and say, what's up? That's how always he greeted me, what's up? And I said, what do you mean, what's up? I said, I haven't heard from you for 2 weeks. He said, I was in the hospital. And I'm like, why didn't you tell me you were in the hospital? He said, I didn't want to worry anyone. I didn't want to be a nuisance. I said, you're not a nuisance if you're ill. You're not a nuisance to this family, certainly not to me. So I saw him in May, and it was interesting. The conversation that we had was about life. And I don't think I'll ever forget the things he said to me. It was deep, he was always deep. And going back to the story about the Thanksgiving dinner, and I remember we went over to America to visit my aunt for Thanksgiving. And he came for Thanksgiving dinner. We all sat around the table. There was a feast in front of us. And like Andre said, he said, we're ready to eat, prayers were said, and he's sitting there, and I looked at him and I thought, uh-oh. And he said, do you know what Thanksgiving is? He said, we're sitting around this table celebrating Thanksgiving. Have you ever questioned what it is? So my aunt was not very happy. But he went on to give us the history of Thanksgiving and why we shouldn't be celebrating Thanksgiving as a people in that way. And the way the government has slaughtered many, many Indians and things like that, and the lives that and we're actually giving them thanks for that, the government thanks for that. I remember vividly that everybody's knife and fork went down. No Thanksgiving dinner that Thanksgiving day. And I'm like, why couldn't you do it after? He said, no, but you're sitting down there praying, giving thanks. Do you know how many people out there are starving? And we're giving thanks for the food that's in front of us. Do you know how many people are suffering? But we're giving thanks for that. And I actually started to think, and I thought, yeah, that's very, very true. We are giving thanks, and sometimes we do things and we don't think about the reason for doing it. And that's how deep he was. And Thanksgiving never really had the same significance for me after then. In terms of employment, Ronald worked in a barber shop in Brooklyn. And he's been there for a number of years. So when I heard, when he's on the phone to me, speaking to me from the US, he'd always say, would you like to speak to some of my really good friends? And I'm like, but I don't know them. What am I gonna say? And he said, no, he'd be saying, oh, my sister's on the phone. And I'd be forced to talk to them. And next minute I'm talking to somebody, some guys that I don't even know. They're saying, is that your brother? Is Ron really your brother? And I said, yes, he is. And they said, no, he's American. I said, he's not American, he's British. He said, are you sure? I said, as sure as I can be. I said, we have the same mother, the same father, and he was born in Bristol, so that means he's not American. They said, but he's one of us. I said, yes, I accept that, but he's still not American. And then they went on to tell me how they loved him. But when I went in May and I met him and he was telling me, Pat, live your life, he said. He said, do you know that you have less time ahead of you than you have behind you? You have less time ahead of you than you have behind you. And I thought, well, I've never really thought of life like that. And he said, you know what? You need to live your life. He said, don't worry about material things, don't worry about money, don't worry about what you've got to leave for anybody. He said, because at the end of the day, Pat, you'll be down in that hole and it's just you. You're not gonna see your house, you're not gonna see any money, you'll just be in a hole. And I was like, wow. And he also said to me, well, how many houses can you live in at once? I said, one. He said, that's right, you only need one house. He said, you don't need more than one house. Many people have many houses, but they can only actually live in one. And I thought, wow. But that's the kind of guy he was. He was always educating me. And when we met in May, it was really funny because I saw him, did I see him the year before? A couple of years ago. And when we greeted each other, or we'd speak on the phone, he'd say things to me like, Pat, can you cook? I'm like, can you cook? I'm sorry. He said, yeah, I can cook. I said, what can you cook? He said, I cook fish. I'm like, yeah, right. I'm like, my mum used to cook food for Ronald all the time. Ronald could just about boil an egg when he left here. So when he was saying to me, he said, can you cook? And I said, well, what's it to you? Then when we met, it was funny, we met it was Utica and church. And I saw him, and he lost a lot of weight. This is in May. And I said to him, when we greeted each other, hugged each other, and I said to him, he said, look at you. And I said, look at you. I said, look at your tummy. He was about half the size that I'd seen him the last time. And I said, are you well? And he said, yes, I'm well. And I said, well, okay, I've come to take you back. He said, just let me sort some things out, Pat. And I said, okay, I'll let you sort some things out, but I've come literally with a ticket to take you back. He said, well, I'm not ready. I said, when will you be ready? He said, give me a few months. I said, December, I'm coming to take you back in December, whether you like it or not. At that time, I hadn't met his friends at the barber shop. I'd only spoken to them on the phone. And so when I went back, when I heard he passed in September, I went back to actually to meet the guys at the barber shop. And I went into the shop. It was really something. I went into the shop and I said, do you know this guy? Because I didn't know which barber shop. And there were many on Church Avenue. So the first shop we went into, there's like 60 or 70 barbershops on the road. I just took out my phone and said, do you know this guy? And they said, yes, we know him. And then I said, okay, he's passed away. The first guy collapsed on the floor in the first barber shop. And I said, is he working with you now? He said, no. He said the barber shop he belongs to is the one round the corner, down the road. So I went there and I said to the guys, hello, do you know this guy? And they said, yeah. He's one of our barbers. And I said, he's passed away. They were falling on the floor. They were so upset. They were tearful. I was like, wow. And they said to me, your brother is a very special guy. We love him. They said, when's the funeral? I said, I've not had one. We're going to have it in the United Kingdom. They said, but he doesn't want to go back there. And I said, well, I'm burying him with his mom. And they said, we want him here. I said, well, I'm not leaving him here, I'm bringing him back. So they tried very much to persuade me to leave him. They said, we'll go to the cemetery, we'll put flowers down, we will clean the grave, we'll do everything, please don't take him back. And actually now, thinking about it, I question my motives. And somebody said to me recently, did you bring your brother back for you, or did you bring your brother back for him? And I really couldn't put my hand on heart and answer. I said, I think I did it for me, because I wanted him to be with the family. But having spoken to his friends in the States, I realized those were also his family. And then I thought, did I have the right to take him away from them? But it happened, and we're here now. Ronald loved music. I asked the guys in the shop recently, they said, you know, your brother's character, he's left a legacy behind. They said because he'd have an argument with you now, and then I stepped in and said, and then he'll fall out with you for a few days. They said, no, you don't know him. They said if he had an argument with you now, 5 minutes later, it'll be gone, you're friends again, because that's the kind of guy he was. He didn't keep malice, he didn't get angry with people, he said what he had to say, and if you were upset, then that's it. The other thing they said to me was, I said, well, I didn't even know what kind of music he liked. And they said his favorite song was Garnet Silk, Let Them Talk. And I was like, wow, I didn't even know that. But I thank them for that. Like Andre said, his loves were in this order. His family, Manchester United, Clark's shoes, Martell brandy, Mr. Kipling apple pies. When I went to America, he'd always say to me, Pat, have you brought me a bottle of Martell? I'm like, no, I didn't. He's like, why didn't you buy me Martell? I said, because I didn't. Because I wasn't going to put that in my case. And he said, well, I wanted some Martell. Or did you buy me some Clark's shoes? Did you bring any of them? I said, no, I didn't. But I did. But what happened, when he sent you to buy anything, he'd have you on FaceTime around the shop. No, I don't like that one. No, pick that one. So then it turned out to be an all-day adventure to buy a pair of shoes. So I said, no, we're not doing this. I'm just buying them and taking them. Then the last time I went, I remember he got one, Mr. Kipling's apple pie. I'm thinking, Mr. Kipling's apple pie. And I thought, how the hell am I going to take this to America? And I took the apple pie. In the traveling and the up and down and all going around, the apple pie was smashed to smithereens. And by the time he got it, when he got it, it was crumbs. It was crumbs. And he said to me, Pat, this is not Mr. Kipling's apple. I'm like, it is. I said, what do you expect? I travelled with them all the way from England. He said, no, you can't. I said, I had them in my hand luggage. He said, why didn't you hold it in your hand? I said, I'm not going to walk around the airport with a box of apple pie in my hand. And he laughed. But he was very dear to me, and I loved him very much. We fell out all the time on the phone. And I remember when we fell out, he said to me, I said to him, look, let me talk because I'm older than you. And he said to me, only this much. I said, this much? 6 years is not this much, it's this much. And he was just a lovable person. You couldn't be angry with him for long. You could be angry with him, but not for long. When it came to his health, he actually loved herbs. He was always advising me, telling me what herbs to take, and that I must take my health very seriously, and the importance of taking the correct supplements. He was a very fussy eater. That's the other thing we come on to. When I went to the barber shop, they said, you know your brother, he's banned from every food shop in Brooklyn. And I'm like, how do you ban somebody from every food shop in Brooklyn? And they said, well, he'd go into the shop in the morning, and many times I would be on the phone and I'd hear him, he'd have me on speaker, and he'd say, good morning, what have you got in today? And they'd say, oh, we've got so and so. And he'd say, well, how comes I walked through the door and I didn't smell any food? This is not a proper shop. And I heard the lady, I said, you can't speak to the lady like that. He said, well, I'm coming in to buy food. And they said, okay, what we're going to do, he said, they said, don't come back. And he said, I won't. And he left. But that was Ronald. That was just a taste of Ronald. And I loved him, and there'll be never anybody like Ronald. And there'll be no what's up. If anybody upset me, he was ready to get on the plane and come. He wouldn't come for any other reason. But you upset my sister, and I'll be there. And I think that's I think I've encapsulated him in everything I've said this morning. I'd also like to thank the people in the United States that supported me when I went to collect his ashes. And that is Lorraine Mason, Corrine Mason, Church of God of Nazarene, the Frantz Daniel Jean Funeral Home, Sharon Mason. These are all the people, and certainly Samantha's church, well, Corine's church. The support that they gave me while I was over there, the churches prayed for me, the people in the funeral home supported me. But my faith told me that it would happen, but the way it happened so smoothly, and I just went over there, did what I had to do, and come back. It was unbelievable. And I know that God was with me the whole step of the way, because without him, I wouldn't have been able to do it on my own. And I want to thank everybody here for being with us this morning. Thank you for coming and supporting me. I do appreciate it. And I'm sure wherever Ronald is, he's probably smiling down at us anyway. Thank you very much.
Come on, let's put our hands together again. Thank you so much. I'm from Birmingham, so just put up with me for that. I think Ronald deserves something that we can do from here, that he will hear where he is. Let us all just make some noise and put our hands together for Ronald Lloyd Harvey Abrams. Come on, everyone. Okay, everyone. Now, I really appreciate that you're church and you kind of try to be respectful. But there's times when we have to let go, you know, and just be real. It's your family. One more time. Let's make some noise for Ronald. Come on.
I wonder what people, we always said in discussion, I wonder what people would say about us when we die. And I thought to myself, I don't know, you know. And then I listened to the things that the guys at the barbershop said about Ronald. And it made me think that that's more important. He left a very positive legacy. Lorraine Mason, Corrine Morrison, Sharon Mason, they're all people who just met him very briefly. And Lorraine was telling me things about him that I didn't really want to accept. He's not going to come back. He's happy where he is. And eventually I had to do that. And I thank all the people that gave him a good life in America and actually spoke to him, welcomed him, embraced him, reached out to him. And for that I'm extremely grateful, and I'll be forever grateful for that. They made his life happy. We weren't there, but the people who were there, he was with, made his life happy. And I thank them for that from the bottom of my heart. And I think that's where I'm going to close right now. Thank you very much for listening.
Got the cameraman as well, big up Greasy.
Oh yes, of course.